Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with the sort of almost kind of new, complete, sort of kind of Stravinsky edition. I mean, this looks exactly like, by the way, DG's old sort of kind of almost completely, totally complete Stravinsky edition, which came out a couple of years ago. And it's virtually identical. It makes no difference. So let's be very, very clear. If you have that old box, you don't need the new one at all. The only difference is three pieces, basically. It's that chant funèbre that was recently discovered, which is completely uninteresting. And then a couple small things, I think, like the American national anthem and something else. I mean, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. In fact, someone who has the other one is just as well off, and so only a moron would buy this new one. Oops. Okay. Well, and in addition to that, let's talk about a few of the other things. The size of this cube. This is the standardized Universal Music cube-shaped thing. Why? Because it's cheaper for them to just stick with the same size rather than custom design a box that actually fits the contents. Because look at this. This is what you get inside. You get the 30 discs, and then there's this enormous raft of styrofoam, which can be used as a flotation device in the event of a landing over water. So you may want to have this, or maybe a flood, I don't know. Keep it handy for emergency rescue purposes. But otherwise, this is just stupid. And not only that, you would think, wouldn't you, that with this much extra space, perhaps they could include texts and translations of the Rake's Progress or the vocal works and all that stuff, because Stravinsky said things in a bazillion languages, right? No, you don't get any of them. So it really is, in that sense, a wasted opportunity. But we're going to go through all 30 discs, and you will now know whether you will need it or not need it. So let's start at the beginning. And by the way, when I talked about almost sort of kind of complete, Stravinsky wrote lots of teeny little things and versions of things. I mean, there's the Fairy's Kiss and there's the Divertimento from the Fairy's Kiss. There's bits of arrangements of things in various ways and shapes and little 2-minute sniglets. So not everything is in here, and I don't care. Big deal. It's close enough. That's my point. So you do get a book. And we're going to go through the book, see what's in here. Now, discs 1 through 12 consist of, let's see, there's an essay. Of course, there has to be an essay. And stage works to begin with. Now, let us make a very clear, emphatic statement at the beginning. This purports to be Stravinsky on Deutsche Grammophon, but the reality is they get stuff from anywhere on Universal that they can find it, and even not Universal if they need to license it. So why are they only sticking to DG stuff for major works if they don't have the best version of the major works? Stupid. Silly. Okay, that goes without saying. Disc 1, stage works. Here we go. Firebird, Chicago Symphony Orchestra, Boulez. Oh, God. Not very interesting. Not terrible. Not terribly exciting. They could have used Dorati. They could have used Ansermet. They could have used that fabulous Dochnani Vienna one. But those are all on Mercury Living Presence or Decca. And so, no, it had to be on DG. So they don't get the best one. Not smart. Petrushka and The Rite of Spring, Cleveland Orchestra, Boulez. All right, the Petrushka is very good. The Rite of Spring is not as exciting as Boulez's previous Sony recording. That's also true of his Firebird, by the way, because his first one with the New York Philharmonic was really, really good. Disc 3, Le Rossignol. This is like the complete opera thing. And this is also just Phyllis Bryd-Ulson and Felicity Palmer and all these BBC singers and BBC orchestra with Boulez. Not an original DG recording at all. So you see, they can license stuff. So license the best. There's a lot of Boulez in here, you may notice. And then you get Le Chant de Rossignol with the Cleveland Orchestra and Boulez. So, and that's quite good. It's very, very good. Renard, the Burlesque with Riccardo Chailly, London Sinfonietta, Decca recording, if my memory serves, and now on DG. So, like I said, they should just pick the best stuff. It's not like we don't know what it is. All right, The Soldier's Tale. Let's see who's doing this thing with John Gielgud and people like that with the Boston Symphony Chamber Players. This is wonderful. Absolutely wonderful, wonderful performance. Pulcinella. Oh, this should be the Abato one, which is fabulous. And it is the Abato one, which is fabulous. Mavra. Gennady Stravinsky. This is old Russian recording, which is really great because it really is such a Russian work. Pity that it doesn't come with text and translations, isn't it? So it's very funny. It's a wonderful little piece. Les Noces, The Wedding. Svadebka in Russian. The Bernstein, the famous Bernstein with the most amazing group of pianists you'll ever hear in your life. It's Martha Argerich, Christian Zimmerman, Cyprian Katsaris, and Homero Francis. Wow, what a group. It's wonderful. Oedipus Rex, the James Levine one, with the Chicago Symphony and Philip Langridge and Florence Quivar as Yocasta, and James Morris. It's a very good Oedipus Rex. It really is. But I think they should have gone for the Phillips one with Ozawa and Saito Keenan and Jesse Norman. That's me. Who am I to say? I love Oedipus Rex, though. Oh, boy, is that a great piece. And this is a very good performance. Apollon Musaget, Shai and the Concertgebouw. First class. We're already on CD 7. The Fairy's Kiss. This is, of course, the Oliver Knussen Cleveland performance, which is really the best one out there of the complete thing, probably. On the whole, it's absolutely marvelous. Persephone! Of course, this was from Honorado. This is the Kent Nagano Persephone, which is also quite wonderful. You know, Persephone's terribly underrated. It's a gorgeous work. Absolutely gorgeous. The problem with it is it has narration, and narration is always annoying. And Judicat, the Abato, which is fabulous with the London Symphony. Scène de Ballet, Israel Phil and Leonard Bernstein, which is fantastic. And Orpheus with the Orpheus Chamber Orchestra, which is fantastic. We're on a roll here, folks. CD 10, The Rake's Progress. Oh, this is John Elliott Gardner's. This is with Ian Bostrich, Deborah York, Bryn Terfel, and Sophie Flood-Otter. Fantastic cast. As usual with Gardner, he accompanies very well. I think his performance tries a little too hard to be neoclassical. Part of the fun of The Rake's Progress is that it's written in this obvious neoclassical idiom, but Stravinsky knew it would be played as modern people in that day, in the 50s, played Mozart and Bach and those people in a kind of slightly romantic way. And so I don't think taking this sort of stripped-down period instrument approach does it full justice. It makes it even colder than it needs to be. But it's a very well-sung, well-conducted performance, so I can't complain too loudly about it. And that gets us, I think, almost to CD 12. Oh, CD 12, pardon me, has Agon, the Ashkenazi version, which is okay. It's not fantastic, but it's all right. And The Flood with his Knussen, which was great. That was a great disc that had The Flood and some other things. And with that, we come to the end of the theater works. Now we get CDs 13 through 18, orchestral music. And let's see what's in here. The early Symphony in E-flat, the Pletnev Russian National Orchestra performance. It's okay. It's good. It's not a very interesting piece to begin with. They do it well enough. Scherzo Fantastique, Pierre Boulez in Cleveland. Feu d'artifice, or fireworks, Pierre Boulez in Cleveland. The four etudes for orchestra, Chicago Symphony, and Boulez, the Song of the Volga Boatman, the Philharmonia with Robert Kraft. That's licensed from Naxos or Music Masters, one of those things. So again, it's not DG, but that's just, it's a very good one. Ragtime, Boston Symphony Chamber Players, terrific. That was a great Stravinsky record that they did. Symphonies of Wind Instruments, the Berlin Phil and Boulez. It's very good. The little suites for orchestra with the Orpheus Chamber Orchestra. It's the dynamite performance. Really, really good of those little vignettes. The two suites for small orchestra. I love those pieces. They would all fit in our miniature masterpiece series, and they will be showing up there. I guarantee it. Concerto for piano and winds, and the Capriccio, Ali Mustonen. with the Deutsche Symphony Orchestra Berlin and Vladimir Ashkenazy. These are good performances. They're very good performances. Mustonen is really a very good Stravinsky pianist because he hates pedal, principally. And so there's a lot of, that wonderful set, dry, brittle, and witty quality. It's very, very well done. The violin concerto is Anne-Sophie Mutter with the Philharmonia and Paul Zacher. Not the best in that world. They could have done better there. I think the Divertimento from the Fairy's Kiss, the Orchestre de Paris with Semyon Bychkov. I mean, that was on Philips way back when, and it's okay. It's not fantastic, but you've already got the complete one, which is fantastic. So, you really didn't even need the Divertimento. I mean, I guess it's nice to have. The Preludium for Jazz Ensemble, the Orpheus Chamber Orchestra, which is always wonderful. Dumbarton Oaks, Ensemble Intercontemporain with Pierre Boulez, a cold and spiky performance of a cold and spiky piece. The Symphony in C, the Israel Phil and Bernstein, very, very good. Very, very good performance. Danse Concertante with the Orpheus Chamber Orchestra, which is excellent. The Circus Polka, which is the Berlin Philharmonic, and Raphael Kubelik. Nice to see him showing up, isn't it? The Four Norwegian Moods, the Cleveland Orchestra with Ricardo Chailly, and the Ode, the Cleveland Orchestra with Knussen, which is very, very well done. Symphony in Three Movements, the Israel Phil and Bernstein, superb, excellently well done, and terribly underrated, those performances. They really were. Everyone would always poo-poo the Israel Philharmonic, but they played this stuff really, really well. And Bernstein was a great Stravinsky conductor. So, Ebony Concerto, let's see, with Ensemble Intercontemporain and Pierre Boulez. The Concerto in D for String Orchestra. Oh, God, I hate that piece. It's such a piece of dry dreck, my God. The Concertino for 12 instruments and the Tango. That's all with the Orpheus Chamber Orchestra. All extremely well done. I personally think the Concerto in D is practically hopeless, but some people may like it more than I do. And then the Greeting Prelude. The good old Greeting Prelude is Charles Mackerras with the London Phil. Look at that. Movements for piano and orchestra. Ali Mustonen and Ashkenazy. It's part of that series that they did of all the Stravinsky music for piano and orchestra that was excellent. And the Monumentum Proces, Waldo di Venosa. Oh, I love this. The Stuttgart Camera Orchestra with Dennis Russell Davies, also not originally a DG recording. The 8 instrumental miniatures must, of course, be the Orpheus Chamber Orchestra version on DG. The Variations for Orchestra with the London Sinfonietta and Oliver Knussen. And the Canon on a Russian popular tune, the Russian National Orchestra with Mikhail Pletnev. Now, CD 18. Now we're coming to orchestral works, which are actually kind of quasi-orchestral works, but only because they're suites or arrangements of the complete works or something. I don't know. It's the Nutcracker Suite with Pletnev and the Russian National Orchestra. It's the 1945 score, the extended score. It's the better of the suites, for sure. But if you really want to be complete, you do all 500 of them. There are actually 2 others, all of which have different things in them. Then you get Petrushka. What is this? Is this the whole thing again? Yes, it's just the Israel Philharmonic and Bernstein complete. For some reason, it's done as an orchestral piece now, even though it's already been done as the ballet. But now, for some reason, it's an orchestral piece. But Boris Berman plays the piano. I'd forgotten that. Yeah, really hot piano playing in there. But that's kind of silly to do it that way. All right, choral music. CDs 19 to 21. And we get The King of the Stars, Cleveland Orchestra, of course, Pierre Boulez. Oh, they should have done Tilson Thomas. In fact, they should have done Tilson Thomas, Boston, and his Rite of Spring. That would have been thrilling. And it's on DG. Much better than the Boulez Cleveland one. So there. 4 Russian peasant songs with the Chœur de Radio France and Pierre Boulez. And the Pater Noster, which is Otche Nas in Russian, with Reinbert Deleu, the Netherlands Chamber Choir. Symphony of Psalms is the London Symphony Orchestra with John Elliott Gardner. Again, not my favorite Symphony of Psalms, but thank God they didn't pick the Boulez Berlin one, which is just terrible. It's one of the worst Stravinsky things he ever made. So, Gardner is better than that. But, once again, Gardner isn't one for, emotion in this music. And there is more in there than perhaps even Stravinsky would have admitted. I don't know. Then there's this Credo and Ave Maria, more with Reinbert or Reinhardt. Yeah, Reinbert. I always get it wrong. Reinbert de Lo, whatever you pronounce it. Who cares? Babel is Robert Kraft of the Philharmonia. And the Mass, of course, is the other side of the Bernstein Les Noces. It's the Bernstein with the what is it, the English Bach Festival Orchestra, the English Bach Festival Chorus, and then Cantata. Cantata is Reinbert de Lo. These are all very, very good. The Netherlands Chamber Choir was marvelous in the Schoenberg Ensemble, and had first-rate performances. Canticum Sacrum, Simon Preston. Oh, that was an Argo recording. Remember that one? You know, I see, once again, you know, they were happy to go away from DG when they needed to. Well, there were some other places where they needed to. Thraney is Robert Kraft. Wonderful stuff. I mean, Kraft's late Stravinsky was just about incomparable. It really was, especially since he kind of helped write some of it. You know what I mean? I mean, he didn't write it, but he worked with Stravinsky and inspired a lot of it. And so there you go. The Von Himmelhoch Canonic Variations, Seiji Ozawa and the Boston Symphony Orchestra, the Tango and Festival Chorus. Yay, first class. The Tres Sacre Canciones, or whatever they are, based on Gesualdo. Yeah, sure, the Tres Sacre Canciones. Reinbert de Lo, Netherlands Chamber Choir. A Sermon, a Narrative, and a Prayer, Robert Kraft. The Anthem, The Dove Descending Breaks the Air. The Introitus, T.S. Eliot in Memoriam, all Reinbert de Lo. This is all great stuff. And finally, the Requiem Canticles with Oliver Knussen and the London Sinfonietta, also first class. So there you go, solo vocal. We don't really need to go through that. That's a bunch of little songs and things. A bunch of them are with Lucy Shelton and the Cleveland Orchestra, Fawn and Shepherdesses. I like Fawn and Shepherdesses. That's really fun. And the three little songs, Recollections of My Childhood, the Pastoral, and two little songs, and the Verlaine songs. And these are all very, very well done. It's either like Knussen or Boulez. And let's see, the three Japanese lyrics. You got Phyllis Bryn-Yulson singing, John Shirley Quirk, Anne Murray, Lucy Shelton. Did I say her? Well, she does wonderfully with this stuff. And let's see, 4 Russian songs. Yeah, these are all songs. And the songs are all beautifully sung. They really are. They're just fine. What a shame that we don't have any texts and translations. Wouldn't that have been nice? Not that they're too difficult to find, but I mean, you know. Chamber music. Let's look at the chamber music. 3 pieces for string quartet. That's the Orpheus Chamber Orchestra people doing that. And let's see, what's this? Poor Pablo Picasso for clarinet solo. Who cares? You know, there are lots of like little things. Oh, the Soldier's Tale Suite. That's Pierre Boulez and members of the Cleveland Orchestra. And of course, it's quite well done. And the Marseillaise, the Concertino, and the Octet. That should be Orpheus Chamber Orchestra, and indeed it is. First rate. I remembered. Yay, for the last time I saw this box. CD 25. We're almost done, folks. We're really whipping through this stuff here. The Duo Concertante for violin and piano. That's Ollie Mustinen and Isabel van Keulen. Very, very good. Very, very good. The Suite Italienne, which is after Pulcinella. I love the Suite Italienne. It's wonderful. And that's Misha Maisky and Martha Argerich. Yay! That's so cool. The Divertimento after the Fairy's Kiss of the Chamber Reduction. That's again Isabel van Keulen and Ollie Mustinen. See, a lot of this stuff, it's arrangements and things, and so it's here for completeness sake, but most people don't pay much attention to it. I mean, some of you pay. It's not that it isn't well made or attractive or charming. It's just that it's not really important. Stravinsky. The Septet, the Boston Symphony Chamber Players. Fabulous. That was just such a great record. Epitaphium and the Double Canon with Pierre Boulez and Fanfare for a New Theater, which is members of the Orpheus Chamber Orchestra. And then we get the piano music. It's only like 2 discs worth. And let's talk about the stuff that matters. Okay, the Piano Sonata in F-sharp minor is Paul Crossley. The 4 etudes for piano is Marie-François Bouquet. And let's see, 3 easy pieces, 5 easy pieces. See, no one cares about any of that stuff. The 5 fingers, that's ragtime, rag piano music, the 5 fingers, right. Let's get to the stuff that matters. There we go. 3 movements from Petrushka. Pollini. Had to be Pollini. The 3 movements for Petrushka with Pollini is one of the seminal masterpieces of 20th century pianism. And it was really a disc that put Paulini on the map as an interpreter. Remember, it came coupled with the Boulez Second Sonata and some other stuff, which is practically unlistenable. But Paulini really, really dazzled everybody with that record. The piano sonata, the Serenade in A, is with Marie-Françoise Bouquet, and it's perfectly fine. The concerto for two solo pianos, the Kantarsky brothers. That's a classic recording. Remember, the flip side had the Bartók sonata for two pianos and percussion. It was really a great record. Stravinsky's, music for piano, four hands and two pianos, and the Bartók. It's a wonderful disc. The Circus Polka and the Sonata for two pianos was with the Kantarsky brothers, of course. Then we get two discs of historical recordings. You get the Violin Concerto with Samuel Dushkin and the Orchestral L'Amoureux with Stravinsky conducting. And here's the Star Spangled Banner with the LA Philharmonic. That's like sort of new. The Soldier's Tale Suite, the Markevich. Yes, Markevich. It's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Petrushka. Let's see what we got here. The Orchestra de la Suisse Romande, Ansermet. Not that historical, is it? I mean, really? And then you get The Rite of Spring with the Paris Conservatory Orchestra and Pierre Monteux. Oh, they play like pigs. Holy cow. Oh, it's so bad. It's fun to listen to, just to hear the orchestra sort of groan and screech through it. But a great Rite of Spring, nah, not at all. And then we get bonus CD 30. You get the Chant Funèbre with the Lucerne Festival Orchestra in Chailly. This was the big new discovery. It's 10 incredibly boring minutes of totally nondescript music. And if Stravinsky's name hadn't been on it, nobody would have cared. And even though his name is on it, I don't care. You may. That's okay. Then we have, what's this? Oh, The Rite of Spring on pianos with Argerich and Barenboim. Argerich is great. Barenboim is less great. It's not the most exciting two-piano version, but it's not terrible. And then that's it. And you get this chronology at the back, and that's the whole thing. So, where does that leave us? Well, if you already have it, if you have most of these discs, you don't need this. If you have a lot of Boulez doing Stravinsky, which is a separate box on DG, or in a Boulez box, you don't need this. If you have, the first version of this box, you don't need this. There's a lot of reasons that you don't need this. But with that said, if you don't have any of this stuff, it's mostly very good performances. There are some obvious things that I think could have been different, which is true of any major set coming from a major label, and everyone will have different choices for certain items. Mine happen to be the correct choices for those items. I have no hesitation in telling you, but it's still a very respectable set, and it's not expensive. It's not expensive at all. So I think this was like $50 or $60 for 30 discs. It was really a deal. So you might want to get it. I mean, I tend to think that maybe one of the reasons they reissued this thing is because they had a bunch of these boxes left over and lots of styrofoam flotation devices sitting around. And so all they had to do was like add a disc and rearrange a couple of things, and voila, it's back in print. I don't know. Whatever the reason is, here it is. And there are more Stravinsky boxes coming. I mean, a whole pile of them coming. There's the EMI sort of quasi-complete thing. That's coming up, don't worry. And there's a Bernstein Plays Stravinsky box coming and a Chailly Plays Stravinsky box. So we're going to be talking a lot of Stravinsky, folks. We really are. So you may want to wait. You may want to see what's in those and decide which collection sort of floats your boat most effectively. Well, this one obviously is going to float your boat because it has a flotation device in it. But in general terms, which one you prefer. So keep on listening, folks. Get some Stravinsky if you need it. This is one good way to go about it. And I'll talk to you later. Take care.